What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to Skytown, everything Chicago Sky related podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the Chicago Sky's first 10 games throughout the season after their win against the Washington Mystics. The Washington Mystics went into this game 7-4, the Chicago Sky 6-3. The Chicago Sky now currently sit at 7-3 after a 91-82 victory. What an amazing game. First of all, we have so much to unpack, but our biggest one is our first guest we've ever had on Skytown as a member of the Chicago Sky, Dana Evans. Dana Evans with an amazing half-court shot, an amazing game overall. We're definitely going to get into that. The Splash Sister herself, hopefully we have her on the show sometime very soon. Rebecca Gardner's amazing game. Obviously, Emma Miesemann becoming more offensively impactful into this game. The first 10 games, now the Washington Mystics are now 7-5, the Chicago Sky at 7-3. It's a pretty comfortable place. We're currently second in the Eastern Conference. We have the Connecticut Sun, who are 9-3. And honestly, we're in a far better place than the Chicago Sky were a year ago. We finished as a close to 500 team, a little bit of a above 500 team. Excuse me. And it's definitely something to where I feel like we're having a lot bigger stretch. We're finding this offense. We're finding who we are. I love both units. I love the bench unit that plays a little bit more faster pace, a little bit more tougher on defense. And I love our first unit with Candace Parker, Emma, Sloot, Quiggs, and Ka. James Wade just does an amazing job of just putting these women together and having them in great places to do great things. Obviously, Ezra Stevens, obviously Dana Evans and Rebecca Gardner and Lee and so many others, really contribute to this team. And they contribute well with Candace in the first unit as well. Don't get it twisted. They could play great ball together and coexist. I love that about them. A very slow-paced offense that's very productive, very defensive heavy versus a very quick-paced offense that's also very defensive. It's just the best of both worlds. It's amazing to see. To get through the game very quickly, obviously the last time these two faced off in Washington, Candace Parker had a triple-double, which was amazing. We're going to get into it right now. Austin had 6-1-7-19. Clark had 7-1-3-17. Hines Allen had 13-2-3-22. Adkins had 7-1-1-19. Cloud had 2-6-4-22. Hawkins had 21-1-4-22. Tiana Hawkins has just been on a tear lately. She is an absolute bucket. So do not let her fool you. I mean, this team, she is leading the team by a large margin. She is doing her thing. Burke 8-0-5-21. Williams 6-0-5-16. Machida had 5-9-2-21. Kimbrough had 7-1-1-21. And Elena Deladon, one of my favorite members of the Chicago Sky ever, did not play. Still handling with that injury. Very unfortunate, but hopefully they'll be having her back sometime soon. The Italian Stallion is definitely missed. Definitely need her back as soon as possible. But to the Chicago Sky's point, Candace Parker with a double-double. 12, 6, and 13 and 28. Kalia Copper had 15, 2, and 6 and 25. Emma Miesemann had 13, 6, and 4 and 25. Allie Quigley had 8, 1, and 1 and 24. Courtney Vandersloot had 8, 6, and 0 and 21. Azrae Stevens had 8, 1, and 1 and 20. Had 2 big threes in this game. Dana Evans with the half-court shot at half had 12, 4, and 2 and 19. Rebecca Gardner had 8, 1, and 4 and 22. Ruthie had 7, 2, and 1 and 10. And Lee had 6 minutes and zeros around the board, but she's been a little bit more limited than usual. But an amazing game overall. I mean, the Chicago Sky, the first 10 games of this season have been very up and down. And James Wade has kind of talked about that the entire time, about their setups and about what they're doing, kind of just trying to find their identity offensively, definitely predicating themselves on defense. They have played one hell of a game. And it has been a very interesting first 10 games. Obviously, the first 2 or 3 was without Ka and without Quiggs. So it's definitely that conversation. Obviously, you still have Lee coming in. You still have a new player coming in sometime this week that we'll be talking about in a little bit. And then you have Rebecca Gardner, who also came in and was brand new as well. So there's a lot of pieces of this team, and Emma Miesemann, who was brand new to this squad as well. There's a lot of pieces of this team with chemistry and just trying to build that I found very interesting, and how they're trying to find the dynamics of all of these scorers on one team. It's really interesting to me to see how they really go about it and how James Wade is able to keep a leveled head when you have so many options to go through every single day. But that's what I love about, each one of these offenses that we've seen throughout the last 10 games is it's very different. It's not one set offense that, teams can prepare for. On any given night, you have to worry about CP, you have to worry about Kai, you have to worry about Quig and Salute and so many others. I'm definitely curious to see, what the rest of the team looks like the rest of the year. And especially after All-Star break, what's really going to go on and what's really going to transpire. It's definitely a conversation. I've spoken with a few individuals about it. Kai and I have spoken a couple times about it. Rebecca and I have spoken about it plenty of times to where, defense is definitely going to be the main part of the team. They are a man-on-man type team. They are going to be in your face. They're going to be real, and they're going to be getting it done. So I feel like truly when you really look at this team and what they are going to be in the longevity of things, I definitely think they're going to be a championship contending team. And I don't think that's a hot take because obviously they're the 2021 defending champs. But it's definitely that conversation of this team could be better than the last year's. Obviously, I love Stephanie Dolson. I love Diamond DeShields, and I love everybody else that was a part of this organization. But I feel like we upgraded by every regard. Emma Mieseman is an upgrade. Obviously, Rebecca Gardner was an amazing addition. Lee does amazing things. Ruthie's getting more minutes. Dana Evans has emerged herself from a player who played 2 minutes of dead ball time to one of the biggest key pieces and one of the most electrifying and energetic players on this team. Super important and super super confident now, I feel like, and she's really just doing her thing. I mean, if you saw her hit that half court shot, what a shot. It was an amazing shot. But it's definitely that conversation, you know them being comfortable with coming off the bench, them understanding that it's okay to come off the bench and that it's going to be great, no matter what they do. And this episode is going to definitely be a lot shorter because I do have somewhere to be. But I wanted to get this episode out. I wanted to talk to you guys about it because it is very important to me that we talk about this because it's still so early, but there was so much we learned about this team throughout the first 10 games. They don't fold under pressure. They're down 18 against the best team in the league in the Las Vegas Aces with Becky Hammond and Kelsey Plum and company. And they fight their way back. They're really holding players, dominant players to a low margin of points. They're holding the Aces bench to 0 points. They're holding certain individuals to 0 points or 5 points. They're really doing their thing from the defensive end, and I'm loving every minute of that. So, with that being said, I think James Wade and company are in a very good position right now. Obviously, we're a playoff team, and we understand that. During the regular season, it's not that we don't care, but there's bigger picture. There's a bigger picture. We're just trying to build chemistry. We're trying to build a connection. We're trying to build a resume of this is what works and this is what doesn't. And this is something we can take into the playoffs. So I'm super excited about that. And just where this team is going to be come August, come September. I think this is going to be one of the best teams we've had in quite some time. I'm super excited about it as long as no injuries occur and God forbid anything else happens in the crazy world we're in. But it's definitely something to where we need to have this conversation of, the Chicago Sky being able to run it back. And really, to me, it's very early on. We still don't know about the Brittany Griner situation and what's going to happen with Phoenix. Diana Taurasi hasn't looked that great either, but I mean, it's still very early on in the season. And she understands at this age, you do have to save yourself for the playoffs, and you have to understand that. So she's not going crazy too hard. And Candace is kind of the same situation. Obviously, Sue Bird and many others understand that feeling as well. Elena Deladon and so many others, they're very patient, and they're not going to go out there and just force it because they understand the bigger picture is the championship. But with that being said, there's definitely going to have to be a point where, you hit it in the hyperdrive and we start going. And I'm really curious to see what happens with the Brittany Griner situation. I just want her home. But it's definitely something to where, is she going to come back this season? Is she not? What's going to happen? Is she basketball ready? Who knows? So it's definitely the Las Vegas Aces, in my opinion, right now that are our biggest competitors and that we're going to have to look at and go tick for tack with in a big game series. But I definitely do think at the end of the day, I'm just super excited to see where this team's going to be. So that's all I really got today. I know it's a very short episode. I truly do apologize, but it definitely is something I wanted to get out there. I wanted to have this conversation. First 10 games of the season was a blast. We're definitely going to kick it back. We have a couple games. We're going to be on the road for a while. We're going to New York. We're going to Washington. We're going everywhere. So definitely be on the lookout for more interviews. We're going to be talking more Chicago Sky very soon. So thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Hughes, Mike on the Mic from Chicago Sky, Skytown Podcast, and from the All Sports All Plays Network. Definitely give them a follow on all streaming platforms. Follow me here if you haven't already. It's always right there available for you. So with that being